interview studios. So, in my years doing this, I've met so many amazing people, and you've seen so many shows, and I've done about 80,000 interviews. But some interviews just have more power to them, even though I always joke and have a good time with them. Sitting next to me is Thomas Matteo. Did I get it right?
That's correct.
I'm old, so I forget. Oh, wait, you're older than
I am older than you.
me. But you got a bunch of parts in you, so
I have all new parts.
you got old parts.
So I'm a new guy.
Yes, you're a new guy. So we met actually last year, I guess, at DDS for Vets,
Correct.
and um, I heard. Just so you know, that gala brought tears to so many people's eyes, and including my own. And I was never in the military, and I'm blessed to have met Frank Labuti, who's General Frank, and you and some other people, and I sit on the board of DDS for Vets, and I find it's my only way to give back
Mm-hmm.
to those who gave so much. So you were talking with Deb, and she asked you how you got into this, and I heard that story. So you guys have to watch that to know how we got into it. But you wrote a book.
I did. It actually took me 55 years to write that book.
Okay.
No, it's a long story though. What happened? I was the president of a Marine Corps Association, Second Battalion, First Marines, and a daughter of a combat veteran, a captain who was killed, came up to me, and I was in the initial stages of writing the book, and she said to me, "Tell me how my father died." I looked at her. I was stuck for words. To be candid, I went and had a couple of tequilas, came back, tried to find the words. I didn't feel in my heart that I had the right to communicate what a man said when he died. Uh, did he say, "I love my wife, my child, my dog," or whatever? I didn't have that right. I didn't feel that. And my wife, Angela Maria, told me, "No, it's your responsibility to tell their story. You're here, you're their voice, you have to." And I played with that for many, many years. And I sat back, and this happened in 2003. I started writing the book 50 years ago. And maybe 8, 9 months ago, a few of my Marines that served under my command in Vietnam asked me about the book and sort of pushed me to move forward to write it. Plus, Angela was on my case every day. And I did. I moved forward, and I think I found the words that would give respect and honor to the men that I speak about in the book. And I'm fortunate to still have those relationships with many of them that's still alive today.
And well, on top of that, you have a ton of memories, some which are sad and some which are happy. I would believe because you still talk to some of the people that you were in the military with.
I talk to all of them
Okay.
to this day.
And that is a happy memory, I think, that you make every time you talk to somebody, I hate to say it this way, who made it back.
Yeah, I actually in '98 I went back and found I got in the Marine Corps in '70, but in '98 I went back and found all the men that served in my platoon,
Oh, wow.
and I brought them together to Washington D.C. at a reunion and reconciled all the relationships and got everybody back together. So from that point on, from '98 on, it started really heavy getting back into communication with them. Mike Corman, who actually worked on me when I was wounded, men that I served with. It was great. It was a very wonderful experience for me, and I think it helped me with my issues, about post-traumatic stress, and gave me the capability to know that they're alive, that they're well, that they grew. And I actually brought two of them when I was a senior vice president in a company in Miami of 5,000 employees. I actually brought two of them from up north to work in my company.
Oh, wow.
Uh, it was a pretty unique experience because I felt comfortable. They were both corpsmen. So I knew if I fell down, I'd have my guys there with me.
So you didn't hire anybody that was above you in rank.
Yeah, I was a staff NCO. I was a E5 sergeant, and I had a meritorious combat promotion to staff sergeant. They wanted to give me a battlefield promotion to second lieutenant. I refused it. I didn't have any education. I didn't feel that, it's the job that I wanted. Plus, I had a platoon anyway. I didn't need to have bars to give me a platoon responsibility. I just felt more comfortable. Plus, if I would have taken the battlefield commission, officers in Vietnam at the time spent 6, 7 months in the field, and then the rest of the time in the rear. I didn't want to be in the rear. I wanted to be up in my platoon. I always led from the front, and I was taught that by a dear friend of mine, Colonel Len C. Hayes. So I didn't take the commission, but I was a staff NCO. I had a lot of responsibilities, and I must say to this day, I still maintain the integrity with my men, and still care about them, and they care about me, and that's a good thing.
I did many, many years ago. I did 3 hours, and I called it Marine Corps Appreciation Day.
Mhm.
So I did an hour with a Korean War, no, World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam.
Mhm.
An hour each. And so the Korean War, or World War II, people got up and enlisted. They were happy to enlist. Korean War, they they went and they fought. Came home. World War II came home like heroes. Korean War, they came home, treated well. Then I heard a story about coming home from Vietnam, and I was appalled that people, especially Americans, can treat people who risk everything, come home, and I wasn't there, but I heard stories of no parades, people threw bags of poop at them at the Marines when they came back. It's disgusting. What was it like coming back? Because I think a lot of the post-traumatic stress comes from coming. You don't have. I don't believe that you have it while you're there. You get it when you come back. I think when things level out, and you said it when you were talking to Deb. Yeah, you come home, and then now what? Okay, it's the same reason I won't retire, because in life, as a kid you have chores, then you go to school and you have homework and responsibilities, then you get a job and you have responsibilities, and then you retire, and retirement is a pathway to death. So you coming out of the military, and I don't mean you, but any
Mhm.
military
Yeah.
comes home to what's next in life.
I think what happened with us as Vietnam veterans when we came home, first of all, the war changed its posture. America was behind the war in the beginning. I mean, Americans were really on top of sending packages in to us and doing things of that nature. And I was there 65, 66, 68, and 69. So I saw pretty much the broader perspective of the time there. And all of a sudden, things started changing. The political climate started changing. Politicians started getting involved. The news media started showing young Americans lying there dying on the battlefield, which never had been seen before. You being in the entertainment industry, I'm sure you know the impact of visual.
Right.
And a lot of people started saying, wait a minute, why are we fighting this war? There was a great sense of corruption in the Vietnamese government. I hate to say this, but a great deal, majority of the soldiers in the armed forces for the Republic of South Vietnam were actually enemy sympathizers. Because not just because they believed in that culture or the beliefs of Ho Chi Minh, but because their families were threatened to be killed, to be murdered. They'd come to you and say, okay, Wayne, guess what? If you don't become a sympathizer for me and tell me where the Americans have their stash of supplies or whatever, we're going to kill your wife, your daughter, rape your children, take your sons and put them into combat. Things of that nature. So the people had to turn against us. So the country literally turned its eye towards American veterans in Vietnam. I came back, my last tour, when I came back from Vietnam in '69, I flew into Travis Air Force Base, and I come out the gate, and flying home at the time on military orders, you have to wear a uniform. They told us not to wear a uniform, but yet we're flying on military orders. We had to wear a uniform. I was fortunate. A young cab driver, uh, Second World War veteran, uh, met me at the gate. I was taking a cab to the airport. He said, "Get in the cab quick." And there were people there. They had wooden rifles with ketchup and babies on the ends, with like bayonets, and that were baby killers and things of that nature were going on. It really was. He took me to a bar in San Francisco, and it was a veterans bar, Second World War and Korean guys, and they sat there and chatted with me and sort of honored me in a sense, for my service. And I came home, and this is something that I tell this story, and it's dynamic. I came home, and my aunt who raised me after my mother passed away when I was 9 years old was at the airport waiting for me. And there was an elder gentleman that was there also with her waiting for his son. And being a young staff NCO in the Marine Corps, I sat at the back of the aircraft. That's where all the miniature liquor was, and the stewardesses, right? So I sat in the back and conversing with them and drinking and had a good time. We get to Miami. Everybody gets off the plane. I'm the last one getting off the plane. I come down the ramp, and at that time I've been shot in the back of my left leg, and I still had a little bit of limp to me. And I come off and greet my aunt, and she introduces me to this gentleman, this elder gentleman. And I said, "How are you, sir?" He says, "Good." And she says, "Yeah, he's waiting for his son." I said, "You sure he's on this aircraft?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm positive he's on this aircraft." And I said, "I didn't see anybody else." And knowing you had to wear a uniform to
Right.
fly, I didn't see anybody else on the aircraft. He goes, "No, he's here. Come here." And he grabs me and he brings me to the window. They're pulling his son off the plane in a casket.
Huh.
If you look at my hair on my arms, you can see it. And that made me think. I said to myself, this man is a true American, a person who has lost his son to a war that we should have never entered into. I was amazed at the strength of this man. He actually gave me a lot of strength in that sense. And I realized that I needed to look at this coming back home differently. And I was fortunate because at that time, the City of Miami Police Department was hiring, and I applied for a position. And I'm not the brightest light bulb on the Christmas tree, but I got an 87 on the test. But because I was service connected for wounds, they gave me 10%. So I got a 97. So I was able to get on the Miami Police Department. There were 1,700 people taking the test.
Wow.
Imagine that. All veterans coming home. But employers started creating this, I want to call it thought of vicarious liability. Seeing veterans coming home and hearing stories about post traumatic stress and veterans doing crazy things. I hate to tell people this, but it's the truth, and I've done quite a bit of research on it. Veterans are more able to hurt themselves before they're going to hurt anybody else that suffer from post traumatic stress. It's that simple. We've lost 4 times the amount of Americans. 58,479 Americans died in Vietnam.
Wow.
We've lost 4 times that amount to suicide since the war in Agent Orange. Society does not allow them to come back into the system. They look at them as liability. And it's a shame because that's what's going on today with our young kids coming out of the military. There's a transitional period that needs to be looked at. And that period is very important for anybody coming out of any military service. I don't care if you're in combat or not. When you come out of the military, they pay your bills. They feed you. You have housing. You have medical, correct? All of these things are yours.
Okay.
All of these things are given to you for your service. And you're paid a salary every 2 weeks. You come out, 2 days later you handle a DD 214, you're discharged, you're in society, now you've got to fend for yourself. You've got to take care of your family. You've got to get a job. You've got to get insurance. You've got to go to the VA if you have injuries to set up. And the system before was really shut down. It was very difficult for veterans to get the benefits and the services that they needed. And I'm not blaming the VA. I don't believe they understood the dynamics that was coming out of Vietnam with Agent Orange and post-traumatic stress with the issues that you articulated about coming home and people being negative towards us.
Oh yeah.
So all of these things are dynamic, and you put it into the system, the VA is confused. They don't know what they're doing. And I was very fortunate. As you know, I was honored at the White House on August 7th by President Trump for my service in military and in law enforcement. And during the course of the day, I went up and met with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins. And I spoke to him and Dr. Paul Lawrence, both exemplary gentlemen. I was so impressed at the projects they have in place. America should feel very comfortable about what they're trying to do for the VA. And I discussed all these things with them. And I said to him, let me ask you something. In the military or in law enforcement or in any endeavor, anytime you're given an award, it's an accolade. It makes you feel good,
Right.
makes you feel wonderful for yourself and your family. Here we have people that are suffering from Agent Orange that were contaminated from drinking them. Just imagine this, Wayne. Walking on a patrol through an area with a beautiful, heavy foliage of beautiful plants and tropical scenery, and 5 days later walk back and it's not there anymore. That's how deadly Agent Orange was. Yet you're drinking the water out of a stream where those plants live from and survive from. And never thinking that as a young individual that it would hurt you.
Right.
The military's not going to hurt you. Our government's not going to hurt us. I don't think the government knew that. So now we have these kids coming home 50 years later dying of cancers. Look at our dear friend General Frank Labuti. Look at many of my Marine friends that have died. I've lost more men from Agent Orange and suicide than I did in combat. I'm a Marine infantry platoon leader. I understand I'm going to lose men in combat. That's something that we accept as Marines. You're going to lose men in war. That's simple. But to come home and to lose 4 times the amount of Americans,
When they're supposed to be here safe.
wrong. It's totally wrong. So I tell Mr. Collins and Mr. Lawrence, they said, what can we do to make these veterans whole, their families to respect what happened and stuff? Said, when you're in the military, every time you accomplish something, whether it's on the rifle range or whether you serve in a special combat unit and you're given a special presidential award or commendation or a medal for your actions in combat, you feel good about yourself. You feel like you've accomplished something. You've done something. Why don't we create a ribbon that denotes that an individual has been adjudicated and diagnosed with post-traumatic stress? A ribbon that shows that he suffers from post-traumatic stress. Nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide about post-traumatic stress. You probably suffer from post-traumatic stress from something that's happened to you in your life. Everybody.
Well, you
has.
asked about ribbons, and I wear a ribbon on my hand.
There you go.
It's teal,
Okay.
which stands for Adult Sexual Abuse Survivors.
Okay.
And I think I never thought about post-traumatic stress until I started to deal with the people in the military. And, you know, I wanted to do a podcast called From Trauma to Success.
Okay.
Okay? And that would be people like I thought I was, that, hey, I made it through this, didn't have to go to a psychiatrist or anything. Never realized till late in my life how it affects me and how it affected the things I did in my life. You guys are one away from home. Okay, at least so I at least had the family support. You guys didn't have any of that. And I don't have to look over my shoulder or in front of me or left or the right that someone's got a gun and going to shoot me. You guys had to worry about that every day. Among other things, you got hurt how many times?
I was actually wounded 9 times, but only allowed them to document 6 because in a tour of duty in Vietnam, if you're wounded 3 times, they ship you out. They send you back. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to leave my platoon, so I wouldn't have the corpsman fill out the sheets. But actually 9 times, but 6 times that are documented.
Okay, so you come home, okay, you get discharged, and then again, you were lucky. You filled out to be in the police department,
Mm-hmm.
and you got in. That's one out of hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people that come back. What's a plan for people that come back? What does the government do to help you when you get back?
Well, as you well know, there are GI benefits for education and such, but you have to get somebody to come to the table to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, when you transition out of the military today, these kids are not given those opportunities to a great degree. I'm very pleased to say that a dear friend of mine, General James Paxton, his wife Debbie, mental health person, they created a military Purple Heart group in San Diego and also at Quantico, and it was the Purple Heart battalion for the Marines. And when they were wounded coming back and coming out of the hospitals, there was a long transition period they went through. And they were able to address a lot of issues with post traumatic stress with these people. So I found that to be an excellent program. Coming out, though, I think my survival was based on me being a policeman because it kept me right in the game.
Right.
And the adrenaline
You had a
rush was
purpose.
still there. It was still, I'm doing the things I thought were right, the things that I felt were a purpose, like you said. Uh, and I didn't realize that I was having any issues until I came down with an Agent Orange related disease. And I don't know if you know this, and I was in a wheelchair for 2 years. I couldn't talk, drink, eat. Uh, and it was terrible. I had to learn how to do all these things all over again. I was so fortunate to have married Angela 25 years ago, and she saved my life. I don't care what anybody says.
And I get that
Yeah.
because I lost 40% of my lungs in 2008. I had a heart attack and triple bypass in 2018. And 2023, I had 2 strokes, 2 surgeries. And my wife was there through all of it. And I get how she saved my life. So I get that. I didn't get any Purple Hearts for all those things I went through. But you know what? When I met Deb and she told me her mission, and I had met Frank, and it was easy for me to understand how important that what you guys did is the reason I can do what I do. And that's how I saw it. And when I was on the board of Horses and Heroes, which was Frank's thing,
Surely. Hmm.
and they were disbanding, it was my mission to get some of the money that was left to DDS.
Hmm.
And it was a little easier for me because Frank and I connected. Um, when I went to the gala, like I said, brought tears to my eyes. Now we have another gala coming in February 7th. But the things that we just spoke about, are they all in your book?
Yes. Yes, I addressed all of that except the communication, of course, with Dr. Lawrence and Doug Collins,
Just like
the
after
secretary.
that.
Yeah, that happened after the. Actually, I saw them on the 7th. My book was published on the 5th. But going back to them just for 1 second. And then I went back and I said, okay, so everybody that suffers from post traumatic stress, instead of being perceived by an employer or by someone, they see a ribbon on someone's chest as an accolade, it's an accomplishment. Look at it in that sense. And the same thing when we're talking about Agent Orange. People that have been adjudicated with Agent Orange related illnesses who have passed away or whatever, create a medal, a ribbon, give it to their family, give them a certificate, give these people the credit they deserve for their service. They're lost. You go down to the VA. Have you been down there? I'll take you down any day you want to go.
In
And
West Palm?
yeah, you look at the people there and you say to yourself, these are Americans. These are why today we're free. The reasons why we can do the things we do. Look at the sacrifices. Look at them shuffling down the halls. Look at them in their wheelchairs. Look at them in their scooters. Look at, these people gave so much, and more than anybody could ever understand, they gave their heart and their soul to a cause. And think about it. Second World War, we were bombed. You're damn right we're going to go kick somebody's butt. And that was a great force. War bonds were a great thing. They were able to sell those crazy to support the war. Henry Cabot Lodge in 1962 wrote a memo, which is a CIA now unclassified memo, that told President Kennedy, we cannot prevail in a war in South Vietnam due to the corruption within the government. The Gulf of Tonkin, as I'm sure you're aware, never occurred. They alleged it occurred.
Right.
Imagine this. 3 little wooden patrol boats attacking a quote-unquote alleged intelligence spy ship. Do you think any intelligence spy ship don't have the resources to annihilate those 3 boats? No one ever sunk anybody. No shots were fired. Yet McNamara and Johnson declared for us to go to Vietnam. And I was the first Marines to go to Vietnam, March 8th, 1965. I was in Kaneohe, Hawaii, sitting in a swimming pool in a lounge chair with a bottle of tequila and 2 girls. and we were told we were getting deployed to go to Vietnam. Imagine that.
Oh my God.
So I had to give up the 2 girls and the bottle. Thank God. But so that was unique. And then when you get there, when we landed in Vietnam, we weren't greeted by gunfire. We were greeted by women on a beach giving us flowers and people shaking our hands and thanking us. And here you're going into combat. You're a United States Marine. You're geared to just chew your own guts if you have to. And here you're perceived, hi, how are you? And then within 3 weeks, we're out in the field, and that's when everything changed. And we had no knowledge. We had no training on guerrilla warfare. You know who wrote the book on guerrilla warfare for the Marine Corps?
No.
You're going to laugh when I tell you this. Che Guevara. Castro's
This guy.
#1 guy.
Yeah.
The book that we saw on guerrilla warfare was wrote by Che Guevara.
Okay. So now you open up a whole new door because now you're going into something that you weren't trained for. There was no really. So today, do they train people for
Yes.
that?
Yes. I would love to say this, and it's the truth. I don't think there's a better military training today by our government. These kids, they learn urban fighting, house to house, door to door, window to window. They understand not just the makeup of the combat zone, but the cultural makeup of the people in the zone. Because that's a very important thing.
Right.
You have to understand.
It's funny because I look at the gala last year, and Ray Cashcare did a boot camp.
Mm.
And I'm looking at them doing this boot camp, and I'm going, that's a lot. And these were just regular people. And Ray said that was simple compared to what we had to do.
Yeah.
And wait. And the people who said, it wasn't so bad, which now got Ray's goat up, and he said, next year, you come back next year. I'm going to make it a little harder for you.
Well, don't forget, when these people in the military today get to that juncture to where they're going into a combat deployment, they're highly trained. Let's say an Afghan, the territory, the land, the nature of the people, like again, the cultural makeup of the people, the customs, all these things are taken into
Right.
consideration. You're not going from me and you at our age into combat. You're going from a young kid that's been physically and mentally trained to be in combat. So they're just learning another step within that to fight that war. If we were to go, let's say, to South America, I assure you that our troops would have that jungle warfare mentality taught to them. It would no longer be that urban door-to-door, window-to-window fighting. And I think our military has really come so advanced. Today, you're a professional in the drone industry. I think that's a great tool.
Yeah.
How great me to sit back at 2,000 miles away, look at a bad guy, and push a button and kill every single one of them, and not lose one American. To me, that's great.
Well, I just, and I don't know much, but I'm believing in today's warfare, we lose less people because of technology.
No doubt.
Okay. And if we could get to some point in time where war is fought on a computer and a game of Battleship with pegs, okay, the whole world would be better off.
Yeah, it would be, but I hate to say this. No war will ever be fought by any country where human beings are not losing their lives. It's just the nature of the beast. You've got to have ground troops. It's just the way it is. It's a shame that we have to look at it that way, but that's the way it is.
I've been watching documentaries about the Holocaust and Hitler.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen any, you really have to see it. And I've been to the Holocaust Museum 3 times when I was in D.C. It's amazing to think that somebody's mind, and not just Hitler, because there's a lot of other people
And the
under
same
him,
philosophy, sure.
that caused this. It's disgusting that us as human beings see things the way some of these crazies see things, and not that we can't just go on with life. I mean, I'm blessed. I get up and I get to meet Frank and you and Deb and a bunch of other people. There's always food on my table, the roof over my head. I don't know what it's like for some of these other people in other countries who live with the fear of Israel. Take Israel and take Gaza and that whole area and the Middle East. They live with, look, a bomb went off over there. It's second nature to them. for us here, especially in Florida, we look at, oh, look, a car accident because there's one every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know that we know how lucky we are, but more important than that, I don't think we appreciate how lucky we are. And we're lucky because of people that give all to keep us safe like that. And it's hard sometimes when I went to the gala last year, and the Sunday morning was coffee with the general, and it hurt me to know that they were telling stories, and I didn't have any of those stories, and they they should know that someone like me listens to them and think how proud I am that there are people in this world that are like that. You know, I take the time to support DDS for vets. I know how important it is to Deb, and it's important to me. I'm on the board, and yet almost everybody on that board has been in the military, but me. And I'm learning and learning as I go along, but I don't know how people who have not been through it can ever thank the people that have gone through it and the families of the people that have gone through it.
Ironically enough, Wayne, I I'm humbled almost every day of my life when I meet people and they thank me for what I did. And I'll be very candid with you. I tell them one simple thing: thank the men that didn't come back. Thank the people that didn't make it back. Those are the ones that gave the ultimate sacrifice. I tell people this all the time. You know, I went to Vietnam, red, white, and blue mentality, flag waving in front of me like any 17-year-old would have. My country. 30 seconds into the first firefight, there was no flag. There was just a Marine next to me on the left and on the right, and that's what I fought for every single day in Vietnam. So, yes, did it stop maybe some sort of communist intervention in our country? I don't know. That's what was told to us we were doing. That's why we were there, to stop the spread of communism in the world. Second World War, they stopped Hitler's maniac actions. Good. I just think that any veteran that comes back would say to you that we honor you for being able to try to understand us and to be there for us. And that's an important thing. So you didn't get service, but you do now. And
Well,
that, to us, that's important. And I thank you.
And again, it's you guys. It's, I hate to say it, it's also all the first responders.
Yeah.
Okay, the police, the fire, the EMTs. They keep us safe. They keep us alive, and some of us don't understand how blessed we are to have people like you guys.
Yeah. Well,
We're at the top of our time. I'm going to let you go.
okay.
How do people get the book?
The book is on Amazon. It's the number one selling book on Amazon right now. What War Has Raised by Thomas Matteo. It's in soft copy and also hard copy. If you live in the area, I'll be more than glad to meet you any place and sign it for you. On the 11th of this month, we're having a event for Treasure Coast Veterans, a new organization that's starting up in the area. And I'm going to have a book signing at Bonefish Max at 6 p.m., 1800 hours. Anybody like to come by and get the book then, they can. We're more than happy to speak to anybody and help veterans. If there's anyone out there that needs help with their service-connected issues, let us know. We're going to be there to help them do that too. But I thank you so much for your time.
It was a pleasure.
God bless you.
I'm blessed to have met you. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Everybody, just understand how important these guys and women are to us.